By now, the amount of oil draining out of the oil pan should have slowed to about, probably it's just barely dripping, because I've waited a while, gone and done something else. One of the really big advantages of doing this yourself is you can make sure that you give it time to drain all the dirty oil out of your car. So I'm going to go ahead and put everything back together. Here's my oil filter. I'm also going to put the plug back on the oil pan. I'm going to crawl underneath and put it back on. I'm not going to show that because I don't want to drag my camera under there again. And it's exactly the same thing as taking it off. With two special notes, you should get a copper ring, little copper washer like this with your oil filter. And you'll want to put that on the plug just like that before you reinstall the new plug, because there's an old one, put the new one on, and that's just a little washer to help seal it. The other thing is, when you're tightening it, one of the bad things about taking it to places is they often over tighten them. You don't really need to get it that tight, just kind of snug it up and that should be fine. Because really you're just getting it tight enough so that the damn thing doesn't fall off. You're not fastening anything together, you just snug it up good. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll add the oil and we'll be done. So I'll slide this right on here. You can hand tighten it at first just to get it started. Make sure that you get it started and threaded right. It should turn easy until you get to the rubber washer, which is where I'm at right now. 36mm socket. And same thing with the oil pan. You don't need to get this really tight, just snug it down a bit. And that's it. Okay, I've reinstalled the oil filter and the oil plug. Last step is to just fill it with oil. Now, from everything I've heard, here's the, right here on the engine cap, there's where you put the oil in. Should definitely know that. Just take it off right there, and pour the oil in. It takes 7 quarts. You want to put exactly 7 quarts in it. That is for 328i, which is the N-Line 6 2.8 liter engine. So for my 328i, 7 quarts. If you have 323 or 318, it's going to be different, so you want to look that up. You want to put exactly the right amount of oil in. Too much oil can be worse than not enough oil, so you really don't want to have the wrong amount of oil in there. As far as I can tell, it makes absolutely no difference what kind of oil you buy. A lot of people stay away from full synthetic oils because the solvents and things can cause your old engines to leak. But other than that, yeah, it probably doesn't matter. I like to stick with the same type of oil, just so that I'm not changing oils. Each oil manufacturer might add slightly different solvents, and if you're changing solvents all the time, that could aggravate oil leaks. In an old car like mine, it already has oil leaks, but I don't want to make them any worse. If you spill any oil, you want to make sure to clean it up right away. You don't want that oil in your engine. It'll burn and smoke, could even catch fire. So yeah, just at the very least it makes a bloody mess. So spill oil, have some towels or something around to clean it up. After you drop your car down onto the flat ground, take it off the jack stands, you want to start it up and let it idle for a minute or two, just so that the engine can pump all your new oil through the engine. After you do that, turn it off and check the oil level again, just to make sure that you have it right, because you don't want any mistakes there. So to do that, you just pull this red thing straight up, wipe it off clean the first time, because there'll be oil all stuck on there. It won't really give you a good reading, so you wipe it off clean, put it back in there, and then pull it out with the engine off, and just look at it. There will be two ridges, one right here and one right here. The oil, and you can tell that this wet part where the oil is covered, hopefully you can tell, is right up to the second notch. And that is perfect. That's right where you want it. And then in the coming weeks, you also want to just check that after you've driven it for a while. Make sure that the oil level is right on that second notch. If it gets down to this first notch, then you should add a quart of oil. That's all there is to it. One final note about the type of oil. BMW requires a very heavy weight of oil. And it's actually, usually you'll see like 5 weight 30 oil right here. That's like very common. You never want to use that oil. You want to use a heavier oil. This is 10 weight 40, and this is actually the lightest oil I would use. It's winter, so I'm using this. In the summer, I would use an even heavier weight of oil. 20 weight 50 is actually what I use most of the time.